Good Monday afternoon, everyone. I'm Fox 19 now, First Alert Meteorologist Brad Maushart here from the Fox 19 Streaming Center. Hopefully you got to get outside and enjoy a pretty nice weekend. Yeah, we had some rain outside Saturday evening. I was down at the FC Cincinnati match. Like everyone else there, about an hour rain delay with that. If you went down to it, and we still got the match in, and it was pretty comfy after the rain pushed through. I mean, still muggy, but certainly better than the upper 80s we were dealing with. Oh, what else did we have? Sunday, I mean, most of the day yesterday was nice, most of us, until later in the evening. That's when the rain pushed on in. So just giving people a few minutes here to tune on in here on a Monday. And like I said, hopefully you had a good one outside. Wasn't too bad outside. There was more dry time than not this weekend, and that's going to be kind of the story for this entire week. We will see a chance for rain, some days better than others, but a chance for rain every day again. We have a stationary front parked over top of us this week, and, they call it that because it doesn't move. So with that, it's going to be a stalled-out weather pattern, just a busy, busy stretch of rain chances every day, but as you can see behind me, some dry time mixed in too, so don't cancel any plans this week. Just be cautious outside if you're going to be out and about. A very summer-like weather pattern. And we'll go ahead and get started here on a Monday. People are tuning in. Today's weather number is 2, as in there have been 2 months, well, at least so far, that we've gotten in, 2 out of the first 6 months recorded here, that we have seen a deficit, a precipitation deficit. That we started the year with a deficit. Ran about a 1.31-inch deficit to start the year there. June, we also saw a precip deficit over 1 inch. Overall, though, still almost, just over a 2.5-inch surplus on the year because the other 4 months more than made up for that. But recently, with a recent deficit in June, and we're running a deficit almost an inch for the month of July, we are eating away at that surplus. So last week on Thursday, they added in the drought monitor. They update those on Thursdays. Typically, August, September, when it gets a little drier outside, sometimes even June or July, we'll start talking about the drought monitor because it's important when it comes to crops and whatnot. But they added portions of Switzerland County, Carroll County, and I think Owen County, just a little sliver of each of those to a abnormally dry conditions. It's the first level of drought. The rest of us haven't had a whole lot to worry about. Like I said, it's just really the airport, CVG altogether, that's been missing out on the rain chances. But we'll try to work on that. While it's been a pretty dry start at the airport, only under 3/4 of an inch of rainfall so far for the entire month. We're almost halfway through July. Only 3/4 of an inch of rain. We're going to try to build on that here through this week. It just needs some rain to hit the airport, the official site there, to catch back up a bit. We have a chance each and every day, much like last week. It seems like kind of a broken record. This weather pattern's pretty static. Yes, there are rain chances, but just like what we saw outside this weekend, plenty of dry time mixed in too. You're not going to see, any of these days. Even while the chances are pretty good there on Friday, you'll see some dry time there too. Just be cautious with the outdoor plans. Don't cancel anything. Here's what we saw outside last night. Again, just about everywhere but the airport. Airport picked up 0.05 of an inch. That was it. Morris Hill, though, and a lot of these were in the north, north of downtown, with the exception of Williamstown, Kentucky, that picked up 2 inches. But a lot of these totals, again, pretty hefty totals with that rain, that widespread rain that pushed in late Sunday. Luckily, it was after most of you probably already home, and some of you were like me, already in bed. So a lot of rain, but beneficial, because we need some, especially when we start talking all these high temperatures, these temperatures back in the 90s. It's always nice to get some rain to help cool things off and give the vegetation, a chance to recoup some of that lost moisture. Oxford, almost 2 inches of rainfall. Wilmington, over 1.5 inches there. Brookville picked up over 1.25 inches. You can see that kind of heavier swath in the color scheme there. Up to the north, Lebanon, I think their precipitation sensor at the airport there is just broken. It's been like this, I think, for a couple of weeks now, and I doubt that they magically found the one spot where it didn't rain in Warren County. So something to keep an eye on with that. I don't have a total for Lebanon, but again, generally in that swath, it was somewhere between about 1/2 inch and 1 inch, maybe a little higher amounts there in northern Warren, Clinton counties, and Butler County. Middletown Airport came in at 1.35 in the airport yesterday. Now, yesterday, officially, for your Sunday, picked up 0.05 of an inch. It looks like they picked up another 1/4 inch this morning with the rain that continued through the overnight hours. So that was at the International Airport, Lunken, just about the same. So there has been some rain. Here's the good news. The sun is back out. If you need some dry time, most of the rest of the day is going to be dry for your Monday. We will see a chance later this afternoon, anytime between now and about 4 to 5 o'clock. That's what I have here in my notes. Most of the models clear everything out after 4 to 5, so plenty of dry time. Up until then, just a lingering little slim chance for a shower here or there through 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and then we're dry for the rest of the night tonight. With that, temperatures are warming up quick. We're almost up to 80 degrees. It feels like 82, and when we do end up topping out today at 86, it's going to feel like the low to mid 90s. Again, just a very typical July day outside. Already up to 80 in Middletown, 79 in Batavia, 79 at the International Airport, and where the sun's already been peeking out in a few spots. Temperatures are sitting in the low 80s. Somebody has just asked, this was Sean asking, when is the humidity going to break? Bad news, Sean. It's July, and this is typically one of our muggiest times of the year. I actually have something cool I want to show you because somebody else asked a similar question last week, and it got me kind of thinking. Somebody had just said, dew point wise, let me just pull up the dew points. I'll just try to break this. We're going to go off script. Why not? Why not? There is no script here. Somebody had been mentioning, we've been seeing a lot of 70-degree dew points this year, and we're there right now in most spots. Again, Lebanon and Batesville, these two numbers are always going to be skewed because those sensors are surrounded by agriculture. So in those areas, this time of the year, those crops put off a lot of moisture. It's what we call evapotranspiration. So it skews the numbers a lot higher. The rest of the tri-state, upper 60s, low 70s, that's still really high. I mean, right, when you talk about 70s, it's pretty miserable outside. We call that the air you can wear. It does seem like this year we've seen just a ton of 70s and not much relief in between, right? I did a little deep dive, little data deep dive, and this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, where'd it go? Here we go. I did a little data deep dive. Here, maybe I'll pull this up so you can actually see it. Nobody wants to look at me. This was really hard to find. You can see a lot of climatological data on websites and at the National Weather Service that's easy to find, nice-looking charts and everything that generally shows, like temperature trends over the years, climatological trends in this area, temperature, precipitation, and so on. But it's really hard to find dew point, measure of moisture in the air. The data is out there. It's just not really well organized in a lot of cases. So I had to do a little deep dive. I found some data that goes back to the 40s. This is only for the International Airport. That's why it only goes back to the 40s. So when it started there, the official reporting site running through 2024 last year, I ran this through and created a little chart here with the data. And what it's showing you is the number of annual hours with dew point values 70 degrees plus. So like right now, since we're sitting at 70 in a lot of spots, that would be another hour that we could tack onto this through the entire year. So annual hours with dew point values 70 degrees plus, that's the chart it's showing you. Yes, there are some ups, there's some down years. Some years are drier than others. 2024 a little drier, than it was a couple years ago back in 2021 or maybe even back through I don't know what that is, 17 maybe. So there are some ups and downs, but look at the general trend line. This trend line is the dashed line running through the middle of this, right? And it's showing you that trend has been a pretty steady uptick here since the 40s, when we were averaging, about 200, 250, 300, maybe almost 400, hours a year. Some ups and downs there too, but generally the trend line was under 200 hours to start, and it's been a steady uptick at about 30 plus hours per decade. It's not a ton, right? But it is a trend. And as we always say here, the trend is your friend until it's not. An upward trend in dew point, what that would do for you, let me just explain too, if I totally passed this over at the beginning. Dew point is a measure of moisture in the air, right? It's the temperature at which, if the atmosphere cools to that level, that's when you get clouds and precipitation to form or whatever. But more likely, for us at a normal basis, it means, once you start to see that 70-degree dew point that we're seeing, it's just really miserable outside. When you have all that moisture, that level of moisture in the air, it becomes hard for your sweat to work. So your body sweats more and more trying to compensate for it. It just doesn't work because it makes it harder for your sweat to evaporate when the air is this saturated. So when you get these dew points over 70, it does a couple things. One, it makes it feel miserable outside, but two, generally leads to better precipitation chances, right? Because there's already the moisture in play, then you just need a little trigger like what we have today, which is a stationary front. So some interesting data. It was not easy to find. You're welcome. This took me a couple days and a couple chats with the National Weather Service. They gave me another site that had a cleaner data set than what we had. to work with. So that was nice. Thank you to the National Weather Service office in Wilmington. They're probably not watching. But yeah, it's, the trend is not great. I know it's not a lot, and 3 hours a year, you're like, it's nothing. Yeah, but after a while, it adds up. I mean, we're talking 30, plus hours a decade on average. This starts to go up, and this year, we'll see what happens with this year. But I don't have a number handy. Maybe I'll look that up for tomorrow. Try to find it to see how many hours we've seen so far this year. But, I mean, it's got to be up there because I feel like I've been talking about 70-degree dew points just about every single day. So going back to your question, this goes back to Sean, when are we going to get some relief? No time soon, unfortunately. Here's the trend. Everybody loves a good line chart, right? That's the trend. It really only is going to get worse here, working our way through this week and into next weekend. Dew point-wise, again, we're going to be talking dew points. Very humid levels. When you start talking very humid, that's 70 plus, and when you get up towards tropical, that's 75 plus. Yeah, not ideal, right? And with that, you can see the rain chance line is also going to be pretty hefty there, working our way through this week. So there's a chance each and every day, some days better than others. We'll just kind of give you the setup of what's going on right now. Let's just pull up the satellite and show you that we have. Again, most of our heavy rainfall threat is out for the day. That has been pushing its way off towards southeast Ohio. Here we're drying back out. Yeah, stray shower, not out of the question. We have a few of them right now down in our southeasternmost communities. Adams County, Robertson County, Mason County, a few downpours there, but nothing crazy, right? That's what we have to deal with for the rest of the day today. If we take the big picture look and see what's going on across the area, it's a stationary front. So you can see that band of clouds. It spreads all the way from Oklahoma through southern Illinois, right up the Ohio River here to Cincinnati, and then kind of just works its way up towards eastern Ohio. That's a stationary front. They call it that, not surprisingly, because it doesn't move. A stationary front is exactly that. It's a front, be it warm or cold, that's just kind of stalled out over the area, and it doesn't move for several days, and that's what we're seeing outside. And that's what's going to give us these on and off rain and storm chances today, tomorrow, and into the day on Wednesday. By Wednesday evening into Thursday, a warm front will take over. That'll lift through the area. That'll push the temperatures from the mid-80s, which, normal for this time of year, back in the upper 80s by the end of this week, before a cold front then comes crashing in on Friday. And that gives us our next best chance for maybe a stronger storm. And then, of course, it'll give us our next best chance of rain overall because it'll wring out the atmosphere kind of like a sponge. So that's what we're dealing with. A lot of dry time, too. It's not going to be a washout like we mentioned. All this week we'll have plenty of dry time mixed in, but generally afternoon and evenings, that's where things could get a little dicey with better rain chances, except for today. Today's the flip-flop of that. We've seen our best rain chances. We're now drying out, and outside of a slim chance for a storm between now and 4 or 5 p.m., we're not going to see much in the way of rain today. 86, that'll warm us back up, make things pretty sultry out there. That's the rain chance. Again, more miss than hit the rest of the day today. And then we look ahead to tomorrow morning. Can't rule out a stray overnight downpour, but tomorrow morning the threat shifts from rain to fog briefly for a day. And we will have a fog opportunity tomorrow morning. So if you ran into the problems, I wasn't up early enough, but I heard traffic was a nightmare today. Tomorrow morning, another threat for some slowdown, so be prepared for that. This is not going to be limited, like sometimes, we could see some limited, opportunities for fog down along the river valley over by Lunkin or something like that. This is not going to be one of those days, so just be prepared for that. This is a little bit more widespread. It looks like northern Kentucky is going to see it the worst. Our easternmost communities could also see it pretty bad, so if you have to head east, maybe up towards Columbus, expect some slowdowns, down towards Lexington in particular, or Louisville. If you're making those long drives tomorrow. Best timing for this, about 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning, you'll start to see that fog settle in, and then it becomes pretty dense by 6 to 8. And then that fog will lift out of here, and we're on our way to a not-so-terrible Tuesday after that. But here comes the warm-up. Back to 87 Tuesday afternoon, just a spotty chance for storms. Not everybody gets wet outside for Tuesday. And with that, it's going to feel like the mid-90s outside. Wednesday, that is when the warm front lifts through, and it will give us another good scattering of storms outside. Again, not a washout. But this is a big match. You can bet there's going to be a bunch of people from out of town and all over coming in to see one person, who I will not name, Inter Miami CF playing here on a Wednesday. It's a midweek match, but despite the rain chances and despite it being in the middle of the week, you can bet it'll almost guaranteed to be a sellout. We'll see what happens out there for that. Hopefully we can rebound a little bit. That was a little sad outside this weekend for the soccer, but it's all right. We'll rebound out there. We're still up towards the top of the table, so no worries there. 85 outside for the pre-match festivities. High temperature, I have it on Wednesday around 86 too, just due to the better rain and storm chances. Mid-80s for the most part, then dropping back. A muggy evening. And I do think the later we get in the night, the better it is match-wise outside for weather. It's still going to be muggy, still mild and summer-like, but generally drier the later we get in the night. We're not done with rain from there. Like I said, we have good rain chances. Friday, that's our next best chance for storms. Saturday, scattered. Sunday, a little bit more spotty. And another warm front swings through Saturday night into Sunday to give us those scattered chances late Saturday into Sunday. But it's going to warm us back up again. From the mid-80s, a brief cool down Friday and Saturday, back into the upper 80s again to start next week. And again, grain of salt with this. This is always, never going to be completely accurate, but it gives you a general kind of, minimum, maximum what to expect across the area. At the least, most areas are talking about a half inch to an inch of rainfall. Several areas will see much more than that with all these rain chances this week. Shelley's asking about severe storms this week. Yeah, it's not out of the question. We could certainly see a stronger storm on Wednesday. Let me see if I can find another product here. It's going to be tough to find. Scrolling through here. Let's see. Sometimes you get lucky. This is a product called Convective Available Potential Energy. That's nerd talk for storm fuel. We talk about this sometimes, working our way through. Let's see if it wants to load. Maybe not. There it goes. All right, so generally in this graphic, the brighter yellows and whites are the higher levels of energy of storm fuel. So through the day Wednesday, you can see how these colors kind of flash up and get really bright just off to our west. I think they already have a marginal risk out in this area for severe storms. It's not the only thing that dictates, what day is going to be a severe weather day, but it helps to kind of give you a little hot spots, essentially, where you can see some of those stronger storms. So the bigger threat looks to be off to our west on Wednesday, but we are still on the fringe of it, which means that we could see some stronger storms outside. Of course, when we're talking a warm front lifting through, that would be pushing through, I don't have my tool because it's not stopped, but just imagine I'm pointing to the east side of Cincinnati. That warm front is going to be lifting in across the area as we head through the evening. So, yeah, we can't rule out a strong storm, but it's going to be a little bit, a little bit more isolated of a threat here than what they're going to see off to the west. I think our next best chance to see some strong storms is going to come later in the week on Friday as a cold front comes through. And you can kind of see where the color goes away altogether up to the northwest. So that's the front dipping down where it takes away a lot of the energy. But ahead of that front, look at the color flash up here right across the area Friday afternoon. Yes, that is another chance we could see a stronger storm or so before we start to calm back down a little bit. And then, of course, working our way in the weekend, next day. This is far enough out that you're not going to see much detail and specifics or whatnot. But, Sunday, of course, another chance with a warm front lifting through again that we could see some strong storms there. A lot of times it's going to come with fronts this time of the year. Your best chance to see anything severe. So not anything widespread. Similar to what we saw outside Saturday. Yeah, you can see those isolated occurrences of damaging wind. That's probably going to be our biggest threats if we do see any strong storms through the rest of this week. Let's hop over, show you what it's going to feel like, because as we've been mentioning, we kind of let off with the high dew points. That will make it feel mighty miserable outside, working our way through many of these days. Every day, 90 degrees plus in the afternoon. The peak daytime heating, it's 90 plus. Some days a little lower, some days a little higher. Thursday is one of those days where with just a scattering of storms, if you miss the rain, it will be steamy behind that warm front. 101 the feels like temperature. That's our warmest day, but not much cooler in the next week either. Another warm front lifts through Sunday, and you can see those temperatures start to trend back up. Let me load up the right 7-day. Maybe. Load faster. The people are wanting to see it. It's a black screen. All right, let's see here. Did I do it right? Okay, sometimes, every now and then I get it right. So the next couple of days, some ups and downs. So what we're going to be dealing with today, tomorrow, spotty stuff, more mist than hit. Wednesday, a warm front lifts through. That'll give us a scattering of storms that lingers into Thursday, and you can see what the warm front does. Warm front, thus, warm. 89 degrees outside on Thursday, and a good chance for storms outside. A Friday cold front will come crashing on in, and that will give us a slim chance for maybe a strong storm or two. We'll keep our eyes on Friday. I think that's our next best chance for anything there. But it also cools us down a few degrees. Like I said, this time of the year, they're slightly cooler than hot fronts. Cooling down a couple degrees. Nothing in the way of humidity relief from this. But it will give us a good chance for scattered storms Friday and Saturday. Saturday, another warm front lifts on through, and that'll help to push temperatures back up a bit. Sunday into Monday, either way, a chance for storms each and every day. With that said, don't cancel your plans like you saw outside this weekend. Yeah, we had some storms that delayed the FC Cincinnati match. Yeah, we had some storms late last night, early this morning. But plenty of dry time, too. We're seeing the sunshine right now. It's going to be a similar story this week. I know it's a lot of rain icons, but the sun is peeking out over those rain icons, so there will be some of that, too, that we'll see outside. So I don't have any other questions there. Let me check this one, which I've been neglecting. Let's see. I have a chance to cut my other lawn that will take 4.5 hours to cut. So somebody was asking about best chances to get the yard work in this week. So your best chance, if it's not too wet, would be today. Today or tomorrow are going to be your best chances in the near term until we hit Sunday of this coming weekend. Things do pick up a little bit into Wednesday and Thursday. Again, no washouts anytime this week. Let me see if I can find the other model here. Let's see here. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about. So there's the Monday chance, drying out tonight. Tomorrow, fog to start, then just a spotty chance through the day. Most of the heavy rain for Tuesday, as I rock back and forth there, is going to be off to our southwest, so spotty for us. Wednesday, that warm front lifts through the area. That gives us a scattering of storms in the afternoon and evening. Again, not a washout. I know it looks busy on this, but this is not a high-resolution model I'm showing you. And then by Thursday, we start to dry out a bit early. Thursday night and a Friday, another front rolls on through. That brings us a good rain and storm chance there. As you can see, fairly widespread Friday morning. And then we dry out Friday night. So if you don't get too wet from the morning threat, maybe you can catch some breaks in the afternoon and evening. And then working our way, this mouse would cooperate into Saturday. Again, just a spotty chance there for Saturday. It's Sunday as another warm front lifts on through. So Sunday is your next driest day after tomorrow. And then, of course, in the next week, things are really spotty outside, and a Monday and Tuesday. So, yeah, just each and every day has their chances, but some dry time, too. So if it takes 4.5 hours, I think your best chance is near term, today or tomorrow, if you can do it. If not, you'll have to wait until probably Sunday. It's not to say we can't see plenty of dry time or you stay completely dry Thursday or Friday or something like that, but you're going to have a lot of showers and storms to try to dodge through the middle of the week. So I did have a good weekend. It was fairly productive. I did too much weeding yesterday, so a little sore despite the weeding stick thing. It was still too much bending over. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. Hopefully you are as well. I'm hungry, as is tradition. Hello, Lamar from Milford. Hopefully you're having a good day too. Stay cool out there. And if you're looking for snow, somebody was asking about snow. Yeah, it's not going to be for a while. Probably not, at least, I will guarantee no snow through the month of September. That is my guarantee to you. October, late October, we've had snow for, Halloween before. Lesser in recent years, but I remember we had some snow out there one time, so can't rule that out, but definitely no snow through at least Oktoberfest. We'll put it there. All right, that wraps this up. We'll pull that 7-day up there for you again. I'll just let you see all the rain chances. Again, it's pretty, that's the wrong one. I knew I'd click the wrong one. Hold on, it's going to be a black screen for a second. Bear with me. Let's roll this through. Here is your 7-day forecast. I'll make this full screen. Hopefully you can get outside and enjoy some of the sun today. Again, hot, humid, 80s, but it's going to feel like the 90s every day through this forecast. So especially Thursday. Thursday's our next hottest day. Feels like temperatures on the verge of the triple digits if you can dodge the storms Thursday. Friday's our next best chance for storms overall. Chance for some strong storms can't be ruled out for Friday. We'll keep an eye on that. Same with Saturday into Sunday. Again, just chances. Nothing too widespread, similar to what we saw outside on Saturday, which I had some tree limbs come down on Saturday. From Saturday night. Storms didn't catch them until I got home late Saturday night, so that wasn't fun. Hopefully we can dodge at least most of the damaging wind threat. But yeah, it's going to be tough to dodge all the storms this week. We got a lot of them. Every day a chance, but plenty of dry time too. Stay cool, stay hydrated, dodge the storms, and keep that rain gear close by. No real breaks in this forecast for the foreseeable future. Get out there and enjoy your Monday, everybody.